Hey guys, so I wanted to explain in detail how to draw a phylogenetics tree for those who uh, still have difficulty doing this, and I'm going to use the one assignment that you were asked to do. So you were given a matrix, right? And you have to draw a tree from this matrix. So it is very simple. When you look at the chart, you see that you have characters right here. These will be different traits, right? And right here you have organisms. You have organisms, and you have A, B, C, and D, and the outgroup, right? So you will always see an outgroup, and from that outgroup we base our results, right? So that outgroup is a group of organisms that have uh, certain traits, but not the traits that we want to compare, but they're still related to the rest of the organisms. It's just a way to be able to make comparisons. Anyways, so you'll be given an outgroup, and the outgroup always has zeros, and uh, the organisms that we're comparing have either ones or zeros. So we start by listing our characters, right? So for character 1, right here, we see that all organisms A, B, C, and D have that trait. So I'm going to write A, B, C, and D right there, and they all have that trait. So now moving on to character number 2, we see that B and D have that character. And then character number 3, we see that A, B, and D have that character. A, B, and D. And then we see character number 4, and we see that B and D have that character. All right, we have all the information now translated. So now we can start drawing our tree. So to be able to draw our tree, we start by looking at the smallest group of organisms for each character, right? So right here, the smallest would be either number 2, character number 2, or character number 4. So I'm just gonna start by doing my group of B and D, and I can write 2 right here, and I've drawn character number 2, but also B and D have character number 4, so I'm gonna write 4 right here. And the placing of the characters doesn't really matter because we don't have a timeline to refer to, so we're just gonna write them right there. And then we move on by looking at the next group of organisms, right? And we always look at the smallest group, right? So we have 4 organisms right here, and we have 3 organisms right here. So we're gonna choose 3, right? So we have B, D, B, D, and we're gonna write A, and we write 3 as a character. Now we move on. We have character number 1 right here that has B, B, D, D, A, and C. We write C right there. And it is good practice to finish it off by writing our outgroup, which was 0, right? And that's how you draw a phylogenetics tree. And one last tip that I want to give you guys in preparation for the test is that when comparing trees, you should always look at the at least or the smallest amount of organisms grouped in a like branch, right? So if we look at these organisms, we look at the highest branch, I guess, right, that has the smallest. So we see this one, right, that has two characters, two characters, two characters, two characters, right? And we compare them, right? So tree number 4 has C and D, 3 has C and D, 2 has B and C, and 1 has D and C. So we can discard this tree, right? Because this one has B and C instead of having D and C. And these 3 trees have C and D. And then we move on to the next group, right? So we have 3 characters, 3 organisms, right? And we have B, C, and D, right? And for number 3, and then we look at 4, and it has B, C, and D. And then we look at number 1, we see B, C, and D. So these trees could be the same. So we move on, and then we look at the other group, that's A, B, C, and D, A, B, C, and D, A, B, C, and D. So basically, trees 1, 3, and 4 tell you basically the same thing. But if you were asked a question about the if they tell you the same information and they include time, like a timeline, like that, time, then you would discard this tree because we see that number 3 has A go extinct at this point, right? If we draw a line and compare it, this one goes extinct. So tree number 3 is telling you something else. But trees 1 and 4 tell you the same thing, right? Anyways, so that's only if they include in the question that you should take into account time. So basically, that's how you interpret trees, and keep that in mind as you are taking the test. Good luck.